Hello and welcome back to our 80 days game where we're traveling on day 28 and we're now taking the steamship to Batavia. So let's get going on that, and hopefully the uncomfortable conditions will be bearable for our master, but it's not very nice. And we're also going in the opposite direction of what the Lion of Ragoon recommended to us, so let's see if that is a good decision or not. We took a flying Chinth, a Leogriff-styled airship with enormous hammered copper wings, from Rangoon. The passengers were Burmese troops who were guarding a mysterious chest in the cargo hold. Okay, this already starts very good. And as we departed, I could not help but wonder if Manusia would wreak revenge for us ignoring his instructions, or if his threats had been empty all along. Let's see. First Lieutenant. Can we go from Batavia to Singapore? You mentioned boats. I've been told Havana can be reached from Houston, about the water skimmer. Yeah, that's not what I asked, but thanks, I guess. Can I go from Singapore to Brisbane, Australia? That would be strange, but let's see. Buyers will pay for evening tickets from Brisbane. Yeah, these conversations are very disjointed. Can I go from Singapore to Stone Town? Did you realize that you will pay by as well for geometric equipment from Stone Town? Alright. That's not what I asked at all. So from Houston we can go to Havana. Okay, good to know. Let's see how we will go through America. I'm not sure yet. But we're making really good progress. I engaged one of the operators in conversation. Are you being posted to Batavia? I asked genially, trying to look comfortably strapped into my seat on the exposed back of the automation. No, she said, the second lieutenant. Oh, then you're on a holiday. I gave him a look to indicate that I was being sardonic. No, he replied again and turned away. Well, thankfully, I did not have to bear the silence for too long as we swooped over the magnificent vista of Batavia. I saw why the Dutch called it Verhavenstad, the exalted city, for the fort floated above the swamplands below, melting into a haphazard settlement that stretched inland. Okay. Swamp does not sound good. Yeah. The blue-eyed charm could give us good money here. It's protecting us from the evil eye, but still, we can use the money. Heavy storm set could be good. Engineering. San Francisco, a scented candle. Beijing and Brisbane. Dominoes. Tobacco. Singapore. We'll try to get to Singapore. The heavy storm set. It sounds like something that we might do as a precaution. Why not? The Southern Hemisphere one. We'll sell it for the rubber boots. Rubber shoes, actually. Okay, then then let's retire for the night and see if we can recover a little bit of strength. We can. The heart of Verhavenstad, the exalted city of Batavia, was a floating fort of gigantic iron struts built over the swamplands of Kali Besar and overlooking the Sundra Kelapa harbor. Dutch hotels and Chinese settlement dotted with Buddhist shrines pushed themselves up in the shadows of the walls, hemmed in by the sprawling, unplanned Javanese kampongs. We took a room at the Hotel de Indes, a fairly comfortable establishment overlooking the water, where I watched the captain preparing his boat, the Spicy Jake, for passage to Singapore. A perfect place to rest. Though through the window we heard the sounds of an unrestful city long into the night. I would wish I could give him a little bit more comfort. So we still have the option just to explore, I guess, somehow. We cannot make do with any routes out. And my master feels really below what he wants to be. So we're not going to Singapore, I guess. We're already past it. We cannot travel back westwards. You might not have seen. So we can go to Brisbane, to Auckland. I'll try to go north, I think. I hailed a carriage to tour the city. The main mode of transportation within the city was the Harimau, a flat-bottomed steam carriage shaped and painted like a tiger, with paddle wheels glass which allowed us to cross canals and navigate swampland. It was surprisingly comfortable despite its demonic smoke belching and scarlet enamored eyes. We kept to the European areas, passing by the ruins of the Moor Observatory and rows of hybrid Dutch colonial mansions with Tuscan columns and local Limousin roofs. A huge explosion resounded to the north. The Harimau stopped. People in the streets were pointing. I questioned my driver, who was merely silent and said, "Rebels." I got out to look. The iron stilts bracing the south wall of the exalted city had been blasted away. Okay, that doesn't sound good. And a good few kilometers of wall had slid into the swampland. Dutch soldiers began to swarm into the city, and as the ship's siren began to wail, several of the local unfurled the red sword and circle flags of the Sultanate of Aksek, waving them in defiance. The driver pulled me back into the Harimau. The air was thick with gunpowder and, strangely, pepper, causing everyone to cough and choke. What do the rebels want?" I asked as people scattered in front of our belching conveyance. "The Dutch took Banjar Akser last year, but the people still fight in the hills, and now the fight has spread to Java," he shouted. I was about to reply when we were flung about again. He had barely managed to break as the young woman threw herself on the hood. She was streaked in gunpowder and had a red flag wrapping around her upper arm. "Please," she begged to the driver, "take me with you." I pull her inside, come on. She huddled at my feet as we zigzagged through the rioting city. I threw my jacket over her, so that she would not see, and I felt her shivering and shaking against my legs. A patrol of Dutch soldiers in mechanical walkers passed by. I held my nerve and tried to look calm, and they barely spared us a glance, no doubt assuming I was a fellow Hollander. The carriage was waved on. Our driver cursed loudly, and we paddled towards us at speed. "Are you all right?" I inquired, feeling rather foolish addressing a huddled lump. She did not answer. She spoke a few words in Malay to the driver, who took a sharp left into an alley. It seemed he was not as opposed to the rebels as he had declared. The girl leapt out at the Harimau. "Thank you for your help, Mynheer," she declared, flashing me a grimly smile. "Forget you ever saw me, but do not forget our cause." "I wish you well." "It will not be well," she replied, "but perhaps, one day, it will be less ill." She pressed into my hand a sword and circle flag before dashing away through the streets, and, of course, my heart flew out after her. It was late by the time I made it return to the docks. I was more than ready to depart the exalted city. It was clearly in terminal decline, as so many of these ill-conceived colonies seem to be, indeed. So, what are our options? Singapore is an option today. Or we can try our luck to go to Manila. I think Singapore is probably the better option. 5:30 in 4 days. Okay, that's crazy. No, we cannot spend like thousands to go somewhere else. Okay, we'll go to Singapore. If that's the way to go, then we'll head out. Yeah, we have extra space, doesn't matter. We probably have something we should sell again, because she gave us the flag, I guess. The only boat we could find from the fort of Batavia heading through the Pacific Islands to Singapore was the Spicy Jake. We heard about her earlier. A Dutch vessel crewed by Uh, decent man of fortune or unsavory and amoral pirates. Unsavory and amoral pirates. I gulped with alarm, but we did not stay ashore. Let's take care of Mr. Fogg. It's urgently needed. And let's hope that Singapore will be a little bit more comfort. The atmosphere around the pirates was tense, to say the least. We kept to ourselves, I think, in the cabin below, hoping they would mostly forget that we were there. But aboard the ship, nothing can be forgotten. We heard mutterings outside our cabin door and soft laughter. I flung it open and confronted the two men I found outside. They held daggers and bottles of rum, but fell into the paroxysms of laughter at the sight of my face. Does your captain know you're here? I demanded. Yep, one noted. He sent us to see if you need anything. We were taking bets as to what the two of you were doing in there, the other said. He said drinking. I said opium. He said gambling. I said you had smuggled a woman aboard. He said maybe you had livestock, and the two men fell into paroxysms of laughter, dead drunk. Let's close the door on them. And soon we heard their snores. Not engage with the drunkards. Oh my god. We need to take care of Mr. Fogg urgently. He needs some attention. The second day began with the Singapore harbour in sight. The captain came and found us. I apologize if my men had made a sport of you, he began in heavily accented English. They are children, cruel, but kind-hearted. Get us to port without incident and the matter will be forgotten, I replied. The captain laughed. No incidents. That's the secret of being a good sailor and a good businessman. He brought something from his pocket as he spoke. And speaking of business, I have a proposition for you. Oh. What manner of proposition? I asked courteously. I've been carrying this for some time, he said, opening his palm to reveal a small, gleaming ruby. The dragon's eye, he said. How I got it is not important, only that I haven't been able to sell it. It's worth a few thousand to the right buyer. Yours for 300. I took a look at the gem. It sparkled with bloody lustre. How valuable it was I could not tell, but it was certainly not glass. I mean, we have the money. You have a deal, I declared, trusting him. I counted out 300 pounds, carefully not to let him see how much more we had, and he placed the ruby into my palm. May it bring you more luck than me, he said ominously. With that, he swept away. We made port a few hours later. I'm not so happy with the way he said that. Could fetch a good price in Brisbane. Well, we'll probably not go to Brisbane, to be true. Heavy storm set, so we can sell this here. We can that here. Nice. The rebel flag in Pyongyang. Oh my god, we're not going to Pyongyang for sure. We'll also get rid of that rebel flag. I don't want to carry a rebel's flag. That sounds something that could get us into trouble. Ginger tablets, stubborn sour prim types, hand mirror, Brisbane, Vladivostok, San Pedro, Yokohama. We'll probably go to Japan, Beijing and Brisbane. Let's sell our stuff here. A little bit of that freaking flyer could be, well, Yokohama also, this one. The loaded dice we already used, basically. Let's make a bit of room and put the tin sheet here. Yeah, we'll probably go to Yokohama. I think it's fine. Yeah. Okay, then let's find a place to rest for the night that our master can recover a bit, maybe. If possible. Yes, he does. Singapore was a British colonial port, peopled largely by Chinese, Malays, and Indians, and fueled by rubber exports and opium wealth pouring onto the new banks. I walked along the harbour front. In spite, brightly painted airships and well-rigged boats heading for distant ports. I inquired about vessels heading for Manila, probably, I would guess. Manila in the Spanish Philippines, and one of the Malay sailors pointed me in the direction of a little steam yacht. She goes to Manila, he said, and then cocked his head. Are you a Spaniard? I am French, monsieur. Truly, I was growing tired of being so thoroughly misidentified. The sailor shrugged. Heard that there's a cholera in Manila. If you are not Spaniard, you have no business there. Maybe you should avoid it. Oh, that doesn't sound good. I don't want to get sick. Then again, you rich people do whatever you want. So why am I bothering? Rich? I'm not rich. I almost laughed and then saw his angry expression. As opposed to such a man, I was. Well dressed and well fed, and had a little right to deny my relative wealth. The sailor jerked a nod and then went back to his companions, leaving me to contemplate his advice upon the Singaporean dock. Cholera. Cholera is not my favorite, but it would be the best way to go to Manila, truth be told. What is the alternative? If we don't go to Manila, we would have to go to Brisbane, but we should have gone to Brisbane from down here, but that's so far down, it's like makes no sense. Port Moresby here? We need to go to Manila, I think. Or could we go to Hong Kong from here? That would be the move. Okay, let's explore the city and see if we can find a way to go to Hong Kong. I took a few hours to explore, investigating the various options for how we might continue our journey. Oh, okay, that was all, I guess. Oof. So we can only go to Manila. Alright, let's risk it. Let's hope that we don't get the cholera. We took passage on a little steam yacht with a cargo hold full of Chinese silk parasols, which the captain assured me would fetch an exorbitant prices in Manila. Surely Chinese goods are not rare there. These pretty money makers are only passing through Manila. Captain Amparo, a dark-eyed Filipina of middle years, was unable to keep the glee from her voice. I will sell them to a trader for shipment to Acapulco, where the Mexican ladies will pay all their pin money for a mouth of just one Guadi parasol. Will you keep one for yourself? I could not resist asking. Me? She looked astonished. What use would I have for such a frippery? I regarded her sensibly attire and short hair. I admire your practicality. Captain Amparo laughed companionably. That's a skill I have always possessed. I slept well that night aboard the steam yacht, secure in the knowledge that it was being steered by the captain's steady hands. Let's see that our Mr. Fogg also hopefully sleeps well. We had some ill winds in the morning, but Captain Amparo kept the crew calm and focused, shouting orders at them in a language I did not know, Tagalog. Perhaps it was widely spoken in the Philippines. We were merely bobbed about a little until the water settled, but the worst injury was some seawater clogging my shoes. We will not be delayed, Captain Amparo assured me, perhaps mistaking the cause of my obvious melancholy. Oh no, it's my shoes I mourn. I pointed at the ruined articles. She looked confounded. It's already a second pair of shoes. One pair we were stolen and one pair we are soaked. She looked confounded. My God, are you an utterly dandy? Do you really care so much for appearances? Fashion is a serious matter, Captain. I insisted. I'm always comme il faut. Yeah. Let's see if we can have a conversation. Greetings, Manila. What can you tell me about it? There's nothing to say about Manila. Can I go from Manila quickly to Hong Kong? That would be the idea. Yes, you can get to Hong Kong from Manila by a chartered airship. Oh, thank God. And from Hong Kong to Canton. Ideally, I would want to go to Japan already, I guess. But Canton sounds also okay. Please, monsieur, I must go. Okay. So we can go to Hong Kong. Canton is like a bit up here, but I would rather go to Japan from there, if we can. Captain Amparo had taken to regard me as though I were the oddest creature to ever take passage aboard her vessel, and she still looked thunderstruck when we reached our destination. "Good luck in Manila," she said, tossing one of the parasols into my outstretched hand. "They will hardly know what to make of you." Well, can we already depart? That's the question. Hong Kong tomorrow at noon. Okay. What's the other option here? I saw there is another run. Okay, we could go back to there. I don't think we want to go back for sure. So tomorrow we can do that. The tin sheet in Yokohama, Chinese silk parasol. Okay. I suppose let's take that. Warm weather climate, American train timetable. Yes, please. Frequent flyer. Cooled compression. Yeah, like that could be good for him. Warm climate, that could also be good for our master. So we have a train tables for the US. That is very good. Very good. Very, very good. That will help us with our journey planning. I'm looking forward to going by train here in the US. It will be so much more comfortable than any of the things that we experienced so far in Asia here. We'll still go out exploring, since tomorrow is our steamship only. And we see a few new routes open up. So we can also not go to Hong Kong, we can go to Japan immediately. See? Oh my god. And we can even go across to Honolulu. Oh, that would be magnificent if you could go to Honolulu directly. We arrived at the Spanish-governed capital of Manila at the most inopportune time. The city had recently suffered the depredations of a major typhoon, and the efforts to rebuilding had been stalled by an outbreak of the dreaded cholera morbus. It originated with sailors or images of Sun Roque. Images of Sun Roque, a saint invoked against pestilence, decorated almost every building and vehicle, but to little effect. Infected establishments were burned daily by the sanitary board, with our hotel one of the casualties. We relocated nearby to the... let's say to the telephone exchange. I don't want to be by the river. I think that's even more unsanitary. To the telephone exchange, taking the mechanical horse-pull tram. Concerned with the possibility of infection, I ensured Monsieur Fogg. Drank only boiled water, as recommended by Jon Snow's article in the Medical Times and Gazette, going to length of preventing him from eating any uncooked foods for fear of contamination. From our window, I could see carts piled high with the dead being taken to the mountain to be burned rather than interned in churchyard, which put me in a morbid frame of mind. Oh, that's terrible. Well, let's go to the local telegraph office and send a message. To whom, I think? To dear Mama. To a dear friend. Let's send one to our mother. Full of earnest declarations of file adoration. I will tell you of its particulars, but I'm not ashamed to admit their sentimentality. I made my way back to Monsieur Fogg under the fragrant coconut oil lamp, eager to part from the city, driven by sickness and death. Indeed. Let's see. When can we go here? Yokohama, tomorrow at 2. Perfect. Pyongyang, tomorrow at 1. Probably Yokohama is the better one. And then we have Honolulu. This would be great. Departs in 2 days. Negotiate. Tomorrow for 3:10. Easy choice. Easy choice. Let's go to Honolulu. Even though we have some stuff to sell in Japan, doesn't matter. We don't need the money, we need the speed. With the last light of the evening, I afforded my master every service, of course, to make sure that he recovers a bit and doesn't get sick, even worse. And then we are going to depart. Can we already depart directly here to up? Or we can directly do there. We don't need to go to Honolulu at all, even. Oh, but this will be really almost killing him. Rough skies. Okay. This is gonna be rough. This is going to be rough. Let's see how much we can help him on the way. We boarded the Reina Cristina, a Spanish Torres Quevedo type airship. Its gondola shaped to resemble one of the infamous Spanish galleys of previous centuries, and as richly outfitted with Philippine hardwood furniture, Fijian silk curtains, and lacquered ornamental automata imported from China. My cabin resembled a fashionable saloon more than an airship berth. So let's see what the newspaper writes. Mystery of Manusiha grows. We met this lion. Our journey to Acapulco. Are we going to Mexico? I didn't even check where we go. I thought we were going to the US. Okay, that changes my plan maybe. Let's see. Our journey to Acapulco would last a total of 7 days, including a day stop to refuel in Honolulu. Then we would be almost at the Atlantic. Well, we'll definitely enjoy the comforts of this journey. The captain asked me a little of our journey. I shrugged. Explained we're going around the world as fast as possible. The captain nodded with interest. You should go to Panama if you can, he said. I'm told there are some impressive new airships, well, things like airships being built there, if you can find them. Like airships? I pressed. He looked uncomfortable. The Haitians have their own way of building things, he said. You will see, perhaps. Well, we'll see, perhaps, I guess. We need to take care of Mr. Fogg here, urgently. The Filipino crew spoke a mix of Tagalog and Spanish, all mixed in with Lescar sailor's cant, which rather hurt my tender ears. I had something for a skill for languages, but this Melangese was utterly beyond me. Don't bother trying to learn it, the captain remarked in elegant Spanish. You need a sailor's heart to do so. Do you not think I possess one? I retorted. I would never dare presume, monsieur. He bowed his short jacket, pulling up a display of a slice of perfectly white shirt. He added teasingly, many gentlemen would consider such an insultation an insult. Luckily, I'm not a gentleman. I laughed, and so can consider it an honor. The captain laughed, his dark eyes glittering with the mirth of the reflecting sun. Truly, he said, I met the most remarkable people as captain of an airship. Okay. We're kind of countering the rough storms here with Phileas here. A portrait of King Amadeo I hung in one of the relatively unused corridors of the gondola. Which I was exploring in hope of finding a secret or two, and indeed stumbled across a small room set with a crucifix and an altar. Clearly someone aboard was literally a closet Christian. Over dinner the captain told me about Honolulu. There we would stop on the morrow. If I believed his telling, it was a giddy paradise, and I became to Ike what we would not be stopping there. Well, we have to press onwards. But here we are, already in Hawaii. We spent the day tethered at Honolulu Bay as the crew deflated and refilled the airship's envelope, overhauled the engines, and replenished our fuel. I walked along the beach, the water so clear and blue it hurt my eyes. I could see the sharks frolicking in the water along the bay, and a grove of tall, dark-eyed eucalyptus trees shaded in the buildings of the town. I lingered to the last minute, collecting brightly colored shells along the beach, and then discarded each one as I found another one even more beguiling. I found it delightful, swirling a conch of purple and orange. I left it behind, of course. My master would hardly approve of a stowaway conch in our suitcase. As we settled down for the night, I was struck by an unrelated thought. Monsieur Fogg, the dateline. I have altered our watch already, Monsieur Fogg replied calmly. Did you think I might forget? My master was, of course, correct. With an eye such as his, it was unthinkable that he might miss such a detail. Imagine what might have transpired if we had forgotten. A less precise man than Mr. Fogg might have finished on the 80th day and yet believed himself to have lost. Yes, imagine that. That would be crazy. Ah, truly nice. We're almost in Mexico. The captain swapped the Spanish flag flying from the prow to Hawaiian colors. The Mexicans are not fond of us Spaniards since the revolution, he explained. Spanish ships are turned away from the port. It is immoral to fly a false flag, I explained, aghast at such a blatant chicanery. Monsieur, it's not the act of a gentleman. It is a good thing I am more of a trader than a gentleman in that case. We send our Filipino crew members to negotiate for us, and the Mexican customs house adds a hefty surcharge to our taxes. The captain clapped me on the shoulder. Do not worry, my friend. This is not my first run. Very well. Cholera spreading from Manila aboard airships. Oh, thank God for that. Thank you. Let's hope we don't get sick from the cholera. I thought we left that behind us. We smelled the smoke first, and then gunpowder sweetened by blood. Acapulco was just visible in the distance, wreathed in lightning flashed smoke. Oh my God. I was thankful for the onshore wind that meant we could not hear the fighting. I was certain there was nothing to hear but sobbing and screams. Are the Spanish trying to retake Mexico? I demanded of the captain, who looked bewildered. King Amadeo hardly writes me informative love notes, he retorted before gripping his brass-handled telescope, swinging from his belt. He turned to the crew. I need a volunteer to climb the rigging and see what is up ahead of us. Okay. I will do it. I volunteered rashly. Even Monsieur Fox appeared pale by the shade of the idea. The crew stared at me with a mixture of pity and awe as the captain wordlessly handed me his telescope, a pair of aviator goggles, and a red handkerchief. Wave the handkerchief when you are secure, and we will raise the ship to give you a better view. I took a deep, centering breath before I climbed up the hatch and grabbed onto the red lines. The wind buffeted my face, and the roar of the twin Antoinette's engines seemed amplified. Behind the comforting curve of the envelope, I saw an endless, dizzying stretch of sky, the Pacific Ocean, glittering far, far below. I think in the book, Passepartout, he worked in the circus before. That's why I think we can do this. I closed my eyes and heaved myself up, managing to grip the foot rope with my toes as I swung out and away from the gondola. I was braced against the wheeling sky, an impossible drop by nothing other than my trembling hands and feet clutching the rope. Whew. I look up and plant my route, measuring the distance between the knots and noting gaps for fray in the hemp ropes before I placed my weight upon them. My acrobatic training gave me a certain dexterity as I climbed and saw, rather than heard, the airship's crew leaning out of the observation deck portholes and cheering me on. I ignored their howls of encouragement and focused upon my task. I felt in that moment as if I were born to climb airships, and laughed, sky-mad, as the rough hemp rope stuck painfully into my palms. I made it to the wildest cross-section of the envelope and waved my red handkerchief. I felt the hum of the engines grow sharper as the airship began to climb. Each shudder and yaw was more pronounced, and I laughed and laughed and laughed with the joy and wonder of it, the utter impossibility of it. We humans are such ingenious creatures, my friends. It is so easy to forget when one's feet touch the ground. I extended the telescope as the ship bobbed in the air and peered through it at the bay of Acapulco, with the warships firing cannons at the city and lit with unholy fire as they listened and sank. I saw their flags and shuddered. I will not recount how I climbed back down, how many times I slipped, how my palms bled and itched, how nearly I pitched into the ocean. I will tell you, I made it back inside and made my report to captain and crew. The French army is besieging Acapulco, I said, and then I fainted dead away. Crazy. Oh, we got the brass telescope. And Phileas, he's always thinking about selling stuff. Every time he gets something, he's like, you can sell it. Oh, do we really want to go in there? The captain called the passengers and crew together for an announcement in the morning. We will leave the French to their business in Acapulco and head to Panama. Let me just think about that for a second here, buddy. So we first thought, okay, we'll make our way across the US on trains. Instead, we might go to Panama. I mean, honestly, fine. Like, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're losing out on a great American rail adventure. But that's why this game is replayable, you know? Next time you go to San Francisco instead of stupid Honolulu and then to Mexico. So going to Panama is fine. We'll probably just take some direct journey somewhere pretty much over already. Like, it's not that far of a hop, I guess. Maybe we have to go to America first somehow, towards the Caribbean, and then up to Canada, and then over to London. But I'm sure we make it. Like, Panama is fine. It's a fine choice. I nodded eagerly and agreed. Not wishing to risk traipsing through a city under siege, even if it was besieged by my own countrymen, Monsieur Fox was less sanguine about our change of destination, but made some calculation in his ledger and seemed satisfied. It is a detour, but not a catastrophic one. Indeed, we are like only halfway through. We basically make it probably like much faster than anticipated, I would guess. So, sounds good. We tethered at Panama in the mid-afternoon. From the air I could see the snaking, guttered length of the canal under construction. Bright red and blue automations threw clots of dirt and stone in the air. The crew hurried us off the ship, unflatteringly eager to watch us depart. Crazy. Thought we had made some friends. But here we are in Panama City, and we will continue our journey in the next episode. So thank you for watching, and see you then. Take care.